ANM, American Northwest Magazine. Please subscribe.
Imagine for a second that you are on a 46-day luxury expedition cruise.
Sounds incredible, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you are surrounded by the open ocean. The scenery is breathtaking.
Right.
The amenities are world-class. But then slowly, the atmosphere shifts.
It got to get weird.
Exactly. The announcements from the captain become more tense, cabin doors stay shut, and suddenly you find yourselves stranded, totally confined to the ship, and shadowed by a deadly, rare virus.
It is basically a nightmare scenario.
It really is, and that is the exact reality right now aboard the MV Hondius, which is anchored off the coast of Cape Verde as of early May 2026.
Yeah, it's an incredibly intense situation.
So today, we are doing a deep dive into a massive stack of intelligence news reports, travel advisories, cybersecurity guides to figure out exactly what happened here.
We really need to look at how a rodent-borne virus is holding a luxury vessel hostage.
Right, and more importantly, what this reveals about the hidden vulnerabilities in our own travel safety.
From the actual biology of rare pathogens to the invisible data networks we rely on to call for help.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the timeline of this journey is crucial just because of the sheer scale of the geography involved.
The distances are massive.
Exactly. So the MV Hondius is a Dutch ship operated by ocean-wide expeditions. They departed from Ushuaia, way down at the southern tip of Argentina, on March 20th.
Right.
And they were embarking on this massive 46-day voyage across the Atlantic. We're talking 149 passengers from 23 different nationalities.
Including 17 Americans, actually.
Yes, 17 Americans. And for the first few weeks, they are navigating remote stops like South Georgia and St. Helena.
It really sounds like the trip of a lifetime.
Until April 11th. That's when a 70-year-old Dutch passenger passes away on board.
And because of their position in the open ocean, dealing with a medical emergency is just a logistical nightmare.
You can't just pull over.
Exactly. A ship cannot simply pull over. It takes almost 2 full weeks until April 24th before his body can be disembarked at the island of St. Helena.
Wow.
And he is accompanied by his 69-year-old wife, who is also removed from the ship because she's showing severe symptoms herself.
Her trajectory is the detail in the reports that truly chilled me.
It's awful.
She leaves the ship at St. Helena, attempts to fly back home to the Netherlands, and ends up collapsing at the Johannesburg airport in South Africa.
Right.
She later passes away in a hospital there. Meanwhile, back on the isolated MV Hondius, the situation just deteriorates further.
Yeah, on May 2nd, a third passenger, a German national, dies on board,
which leads directly to the current standoff off the coast of Praia in Cape Verde. The National Institute of Public Health there has explicitly denied the ship permission to dock.
Right, because from a public health perspective, Cape Verde is looking at a vessel with an unknown contagion.
3 fatalities.
Exactly. 3 fatalities and several others showing severe respiratory distress, including 2 crew members. They are just establishing a firewall to protect their own population.
So we effectively have a locked room mystery where the culprit is microscopic, but it brings up an immediate biological red flag for me.
How so?
Well, if Cape Verde is treating this like a plague ship and refusing entry, how do these people get help? I mean, there is a British citizen currently in an intensive care unit in Johannesburg.
Which is the only lab-confirmed case so far, yeah.
Right. But there are people still on the water who are actively deteriorating.
Well, you have to mobilize international assets. The World Health Organization is currently coordinating a contingency air ambulance with the UK and the Netherlands.
So flying out to the middle of the ocean.
Basically, yeah. This involves highly specialized transport teams equipped with biocontainment pods flying out to extract the most critical patients.
That is wild.
And in tandem, the ship's crew is enforcing strict quarantine protocols. They are confining passengers to their cabins and negotiating a 2 to 3 day diversion to the Canary Islands.
Probably Las Palmas or Tenerife?
Likely, yes, to facilitate a highly controlled medical evacuation.
Let's look at what is actually hunting these passengers, because the medical mechanics here are just fascinating. The confirmed culprit in that Johannesburg ICU is Hantavirus.
Right.
Based on our sources, Hantavirus is fundamentally a rodent-borne disease. It is typically shed in the droppings, urine, or saliva of rats and mice.
And when those droppings dry out, the viral particles become aerosolized.
So humans just sweep a dusty floor or disturb a nest?
Yeah, they breathe in the invisible dust and the virus enters the lungs.
And the mechanism of what happens next in the human body is devastating,
It really is. The virus targets the endothelial cells.
which are the cells that line your blood vessels, right?
Exactly. And it triggers two specific diseases depending on the strain. The first is Hantavirus pulmonare syndrome, or HPS.
And from what I understand, the virus itself doesn't actually destroy the lung tissue. It's more like it triggers a massive overreaction from our own immune system.
That is the tragic irony of HPS. Yeah. The immune system floods the lungs with white blood cells to fight the invader.
Right.
This causes the capillaries in the lungs to become highly permeable. Blood plasma literally leaks into the air sacs.
Wow.
The patient essentially drowns from the inside out.
That is horrific.
And the second disease pathway is hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, HFRS, where that same vascular leakage targets the kidneys, leading to sudden renal failure.
The incubation period adds a whole other layer of terror to this, too. You can be exposed and then, walk around feeling perfectly fine for anywhere from 1 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's a huge window.
And when the symptoms finally hit, they mimic a severe flu. Fever, fatigue, muscle aches.
Before rapidly falling off a cliff into respiratory or kidney failure.
And the mortality rate for the pulmonary syndrome sits at a grim 35 to 38%.
With zero specific antiviral treatments available.
Right. Doctors can only offer supportive care, like putting someone on a ventilator or dialysis and just hoping their body holds out.
It really becomes a race between the patient's stamina and the viral replication cycle.
But, okay, I keep running into a massive logical roadblock here. Wait. If hantavirus requires inhaling aerosolized mouse droppings, how is it spreading from cabin to cabin on a modern luxury cruise ship?
It's a great question.
I mean, is it really just a severe rodent infestation on board? Even if a rat boarded in Argentina, a localized rodent problem doesn't explain multiple passengers and crew falling ill weeks later across different decks?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the authorities are looking at the exact same logical gap. They strongly suspect the outbreak is not driven by a ship-wide rodent infestation.
Really? Then what is it?
They are looking at the geographical origin of the voyage. The MV Hondias departed from Ushuaia, Argentina, and earlier in 2026, Argentina experienced an active hantavirus alert.
Oh.
Yeah, with 32 cases clustered in their southern Andean provinces. This points heavily toward a very specific, incredibly rare variant known as the Andes virus.
So the virus mutated.
It adapted, yeah.
Wow.
Most hantavirus strains hit a biological dead end when they enter a human. They simply cannot replicate efficiently enough in human tissue to be expelled and infect someone else.
Right, so you can catch it from a mouse, but you can't give it to your spouse.
Exactly. But the Andes strain possesses a unique genetic capability. It is the only documented hantavirus capable of human-to-human transmission.
Oh man, that completely rewrites the mechanics of the outbreak. It means the Dutch passenger likely contracted the Andes strain while ashore in Argentina before boarding.
Yep, he boards, incubates the virus for weeks, and then begins shedding it.
But how does he shed it?
The crucial detail is how it sheds. Unlike COVID-19 or influenza, which spread rapidly through casual respiratory droplets in an enclosed space.
It's like coughing on an elevator.
Right. The Andes virus requires incredibly close, prolonged contact. We're talking about intimate proximity, likely involving the transfer of saliva or other bodily fluids over an extended period.
Which perfectly explains why his wife was the second victim. They were sharing a cabin, caring for each other.
Exactly.
It also justifies why the ship is treating this with strict isolation. If you cut off the prolonged close contact, you sever the chain of transmission.
And that underlying biological reality is vital for contextualizing the global panic we often see in the news.
Absolutely.
When a headline screams about a deadly virus on a cruise ship diverting to the Canary Islands, the instinct for anyone with a booked vacation is to immediately cancel their flights.
I mean, I would be lying if I said I wouldn't check my itinerary. If I'm flying into Tenerife next week and a quarantined ship is heading toward that exact same port, the fear feels entirely justified.
The fear is human, sure.
Yeah.
But the risk to the general public, according to the World Health Organization and global travel analysts, is exceptionally low.
Because it's not airborne like COVID.
Exactly. Because the Andes strain requires such intense, prolonged exposure, it simply does not pose a threat in routine travel environments.
So I'm not going to catch it from the guy coughing in row 12.
No, you are not going to catch it by walking through an airport terminal or sitting in an airplane cabin or lounging on a beach in the Canary Islands.
The sources make a strong point about the difference between a controlled medical operation and a community outbreak. Cape Verde denying the ship entry was a localized containment strategy.
Right.
It wasn't a signal that the islands themselves are contaminated. Flights to Cape Verde and the Canary Islands are operating without a single airspace restriction.
And if the MV Hondius does dock in Tenerife, they aren't going to let passengers hail cabs to the local resorts.
Obviously not.
They will move patients through specialized, sealed corridors directly into biocontainment units.
The WHO Regional Director for Europe, Dr. Hans Kluge, summarized this philosophy perfectly when he noted that health threats do not respect borders. Working together is how we protect people.
It's a great quote.
Shutting down regional airspace over a ship-bound incident creates massive economic and logistical chaos without providing any actual public health benefit. Targeted scientific intervention is the standard.
Completely agree.
So let's pivot to the practical reality of being a traveler caught in the ripple effect of something like this. Say you are that worried traveler, you hear the news, your anxiety spikes, and you want to pull the plug on your trip to Praia or Las Palmas.
Right.
If you call your airline, they're going to tell you the flight is still scheduled.
No, absolutely. Airlines base their policies on operational capability, not passenger comfort. If the airport is open and the plane can land safely, they have fulfilled their contractual obligations.
So no free refunds.
Nope. They will not offer free rebooking or waivers simply because there is a localized health scare at the destination. The financial burden of canceling falls entirely on the traveler.
Which introduces the concept of cancel for any reason insurance, or CFAR. If you just buy the standard $20 insurance add-on at checkout, it usually only covers highly specific, documented emergencies.
Like you breaking your leg the day before the flight.
Exactly. You cannot invoke standard insurance just because you feel uneasy about a news report.
But CFAR policies change that dynamic, though they come with strict mechanics of their own.
Like what?
Well, you typically have to purchase a CFAR policy within 10 to 14 days of making your very first trip deposit. You can't wait until a crisis hits the news to buy it.
That makes sense.
But if you have it, you can cancel your trip out of sheer anxiety. And the policy will generally reimburse 50 to 75% of your non-refundable costs.
Still, the overarching advice from the intelligence we are reading is to lean on data, not dread. Before sacrificing 25 to 50% of your vacation budget, you should be consulting the WHO's Disease Outbreak news page.
Or your government's official travel advisories.
Yeah, exactly. If the experts say the destination is safe, your money is likely better spent taking the trip.
Information truly is the antidote to panic.
It really is. And speaking of information, this brings us to an entirely different kind of vulnerability.
The digital side.
Yes. Because if you are a passenger physically trapped on the MV Hondius right now, or you are a traveler anywhere dealing with a sudden crisis, your immediate instinct is to communicate.
You need to tell your family you are safe.
You need to access your banking app to check your emergency funds. You need to look up alternate flights. Because you are out of cellular range, you turn to the only tool available, the ship's Wi-Fi network.
We hyper-focus on the biological threat in our physical environment while completely ignoring the digital environment we're stepping into.
Right.
And in a highly stressful situation, cognitive load is high, making us even more susceptible to digital exploitation.
I read an analogy in the cybersecurity guides that completely shattered my perception of secure networks. They said you have to view cruise ship Wi-Fi, even if it's a premium high-speed Starlink connection you paid $50 a day for, as a floating Starbucks.
It's so true.
I always assumed that because I had to enter my cabin number and a unique password on a portal screen to get online, I was on a private, secure network.
Yeah, a lot of people make that mistake. That portal screen is a captive portal. Its primary function is commercial, not cryptographic.
Meaning it just tracks billing.
Exactly.
Oh.
It exists to verify that you paid for the service and to throttle your bandwidth. It does not magically encrypt the data leaving your phone. Once you click Connect, you are throwing your data into a shared local network alongside thousands of strangers.
And some of those strangers might be actively listening. This introduces the concept of the evil twin network, which honestly sounds like something out of a spy novel.
It does, but the mechanics are surprisingly simple. The hardware required is incredibly cheap.
Wow.
A bad actor sitting in the cabin next to yours can use a small device, often called a Wi-Fi pineapple, to broadcast a wireless signal. They name their network something highly plausible, like Hondia's Premium Guest.
Sneaky.
Very. And devices are programmed to aggressively seek out the strongest familiar signal. If the attacker's signal is stronger than the router down the hall, your phone will automatically connect to the evil twin.
So now, instead of my data going to the ship's router, it is flowing directly through the attacker's device. If I open my browser and type in a password, they can see the plain text.
They can intercept your banking session. They're sitting right in the middle of your connection.
But wait, even if I am on the legitimate network, am I still vulnerable?
Yes, to packet sniffing. While many modern websites use HTTPS to encrypt their traffic, older applications, background email syncing, or poorly configured destination sites might send data in plain text.
So anyone can just read it.
A packet sniffer simply monitors the shared airwaves, scooping up all the unencrypted data packets floating through the local network.
Okay, so if my physical environment is locked down and my digital environment is compromised, how do I safely call for help? Let's build the actual cybersecurity action plan for the isolated traveler.
The first crucial step happens before you ever leave dry land.
Right.
If you try to log into your bank from the middle of the Atlantic, the bank's security algorithm is going to notice the unusual IP address and demand two-factor authentication.
Usually they send a text message with a 6-digit code to your phone.
But if you are 200 miles off the coast of Africa, you have absolutely zero cellular signal.
You can't receive SMS text over a Wi-Fi network.
Without specialized carrier configurations that often fail abroad, no, you can't. You're effectively locked out of your own money.
Which is why you must configure an authenticator app, like Authy or Google Authenticator, before your trip.
Exactly. These apps use a mathematical algorithm synchronized with your bank to generate those 6-digit codes locally on your device. They do not require an active cellular connection or even an internet connection to work.
Okay, that solves the access problem. Now we have to solve the interception problem. If I am forced to use the floating Starbucks network, I need a way to scramble my data so the evil twins and packet sniffers just see garbage.
You need a virtual private network or VPN. The intelligence reports cite robust services like NordVPN or Surfshark.
How does that work in practice?
When you activate a VPN, it wraps your data in a layer of strong encryption before it ever leaves your device. It builds a secure encrypted tunnel through the local Wi-Fi network out to the wider internet.
So even if an attacker intercepts my data packets, all they capture is unreadable cryptographic noise.
Exactly. It's just gibberish to them.
I love the mechanics of that, but I can see a massive logistical headache for a passenger on a cruise ship. Say I am quarantined in my cabin on the Hantavirus, I need to use the VPN to check my bank safely.
Right.
But I also need to use the ship's specific local ocean-wide expeditions app to order meals to my door or check the captain's medical updates. If my VPN is routing my phone's location to a server in New York, the local ship app won't recognize me. It'll think I'm off the network.
You are identifying a very real friction point, and it is solved by a feature called split tunneling.
Split tunneling.
Yeah, which is available in most premium VPN software.
So it's basically like setting up an HOV lane for your sensitive data. You go into the settings and you tell the software, put my banking app and my email in the encrypted HOV tunnel, but leave the ship's local app in the regular unencrypted traffic lane so it can still talk directly to the ship's server.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You are segmenting your traffic based on the required level of trust.
Makes sense.
And the final layer of defense comes into play when the ship actually nears land. The moment you are close enough to Cape Verde or the Canary Islands to pick up a terrestrial cell tower, you should abandon the ship's Wi-Fi entirely for sensitive transactions.
The sources mention using travel eSIMs like GigSki or Aerolo.
Yeah, you can purchase and download these digital SIM cards ahead of time. When you get close to shore, you activate the eSIM and your phone connects directly to the local 5G cellular network.
Which is safer.
Much safer.
Mhm.
Cellular networks have inherent encryption protocols that are vastly superior to open Wi-Fi. You bypass the ship's shared infrastructure entirely.
You know, when you lay all of this out, the symmetry of this situation is incredibly striking to me.
How do you mean?
Well, on the biological side, we have passengers threatened by a microscopic, invisible virus that exploits close physical proximity. And on the digital side, we have the threat of invisible data interception that exploits our proximity on shared networks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In both cases, the things that can hurt you most are the things you cannot see.
And the defense mechanisms are symmetrical as well.
Yeah.
You survive the physical threat through deliberate isolation, quarantining in the cabin.
Right.
And you survive the digital threat through deliberate encryption, creating an isolated tunnel for your data. In both domains, understanding the mechanics of the threat replaces panic with protocol.
That is perfectly said. And I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, because this entire tragedy aboard the MV Hondius exposes a really profound paradox in modern exploration.
Yeah.
Think about it. We have engineered these magnificent vessels capable of carving through the ice of the Antarctic and sailing the most remote stretches of the Southern Ocean.
It's an engineering marvel.
Truly. We can beam high-speed internet down from low Earth orbit satellites to the middle of the sea. We possess this illusion of total mastery over our environment.
Yet we are abruptly halted by the simplest of biological mechanisms.
Exactly. For all our titanium hulls and satellite arrays, our journey can be stopped dead by an ancient virus carried by a rodent in Argentina.
It's humbling.
It is. And at the exact moment we realize our physical fragility and reach for our advanced digital tools to cry for help, we find that those tools are riddled with their own invisible vulnerabilities. We have never been more connected, and yet, as this ship drifts off the coast of Cape Verde, we have never been more acutely aware of how quickly we can become completely, desperately isolated.
That is a powerful thought.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, travel smartly, and we will see you next time.
ANM, American Northwest Magazine. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.